Hello, and welcome to the 80th Techspressionism Salon. I'm Renata Januszewska, and I'm coming to you today from the village of Lion's Head in Ontario, Canada. Our topic today is money. Our first presenting artist is Susan Detroy. Susan is a mixed media artist who lives and practices in Eugene, Oregon. And so, Susan, over to you.
Hi. Yes, I'm in Oregon in the United States, northwest part of the United States. And I created a keynote. And so I'm going to share my screen and attempt to do that. So. Okay. Are you seeing my screen? It says artist money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and anyone that is not Susan, if you could please mute yourself, that'd be appreciated.
Okay. So I created a keynote, and I'm going to start that. I'm going to also time myself. When I started thinking about artists, who I am as an artist and money, I came up with this idea, and which is I wanted to share with you all the ways that I have supported myself as an artist over the years. And my presentation will be about 10 minutes, and I'm going to go through those. And what I did is I sat down and I started a list, and unbelievably, to me, this seems like a lot. I came up with this list of jobs or ways that I created income over the years of being an artist. In the beginning, so to speak, of my career, I had jobs, regular jobs for a number of years during the day jobs. Most of them were part-time. Occasionally there was a full-time job, but at the same time, I was doing side jobs and my artwork. And these are all of the jobs that I've done over my lifetime career as an artist. Once I decided to stop doing almost full-time work jobs, I made a decision like about in the 90s that I was an artist. I decided I was an artist in the early 90s. I was no longer going to do a job that wasn't related to art. So in the beginning of my art career, I was a photographer, and I worked for bands. I did professional photography for friends of mine and people that were referred to me. I did a ton of portrait photography. I did weddings a little bit. I found them very difficult. And I had, this is a picture of a woman named Lori McLean who hired me a lot. She was a financial manager. I also did contracted work, and this is where my photography got reinforced. I was doing projects for the local transit district called Lane Transit District. And these are some of the pieces that I did for their transit guide. I did some kind of interpretive work, and they used it, which I was happy about. Also, when in the beginning of my career, I was doing installations at community colleges in Eugene and other small at Corvallis, which is where Oregon State University, and also in Salem, Oregon, there were some projects there. Yeah, one of the two of the places that I've worked that I worked for a long time was the two of them were, one was called the Jacobs Gallery, was a pretty well-known in Lane County, Oregon, well-known gallery. I was the manager and exhibit designer, and I got started in that work because I had been a photographer, and I was an analog photographer, and digital started happening, and I was at the time totally angry and didn't want to have anything to do with digital. So I'd had cancer, and when I came back from cancer treatment, digital had taken over photography. So I've started volunteering at the Jacobs Gallery, and that turned into a very long-term job. And I also worked at the same time at the PRN galleries for Peace Health, which is a medical, a huge medical organization. I also did teaching. I've done that on and off my whole career, primarily with my digital camera work, and but also teaching more recently tea bag art paper usage, and also transfers. I was teaching transfer work. One of the galleries I worked for that was probably one of the ones that was the one that I liked the most was the David Joyce Gallery at Lane Community College. I worked there about 7 or 8 years, and as I mentioned, these were not full-time jobs. They were they were on a cycle, because when a show would come up, I'd prepare and do the call, and I worked there for a number of years. David Joyce was a beloved instructor, and he passed away, and this gallery was named for him. He was someone that I knew personally and had taken classes from, and I liked that job quite a bit. And the gallery eventually was no longer happened, no longer was funded, so it stopped. I also did specialty medical projects where I helped create this wall at the Neal Intensive Care Unit in at Peace Health in Springfield, Oregon. This was also a very much loved job. I worked with a number of parents, and we created all of these pictures of children that had been in the NICU and were now, of course, thriving. I briefly worked at Copic Marker in Eugene as the trade show manager. This was a very interesting job, and I'm not going to go into it, but it was bumpy. It was a bumpy organization, and eventually I was let go. But I'm not going to go into all that, but I will gladly talk about it when I'm not doing this presentation. For a number of years, up until right before COVID, I worked for Dave Imus, who is an incredibly talented cartographer. He makes these beautiful maps, and we worked together for several years. I've always done art sales. The piece in the middle is from my early series called Mythic Animals. The piece on the right is from my series called Worship of Precious, and it's a piece of cactus work and transfers. The piece in the middle is from the period when I was had survived cancer treatment, and these pieces came to me in a sort of a dream state. And then the piece on the left is, those pieces on the left are from my Portrait of a Woman project, and that's a metal print that this person is purchasing. And I wanted to just tribute to the people in my life who have bought art from me a lot and supported my art career. The women here have bought from me multiple times, and I certainly appreciate them. And mostly, yes, those are all from the Portrait of a Woman series that I started creating before COVID. Of course, many of you have done annual holiday sales. I did studio sales. I did fundraiser sales. I was part of a holiday art show at the Whitaker Printmakers for many years. And that of course was before COVID, and all of that stopped. And I have a converted garage from which I did open house and annual sales. And that was the picture on the bottom left is when I was doing the mythic animal pieces, and I had a sale there. Okay. Always I've been creating art cards, and almost all the series I've ever created, I've made art cards. The ones that are in the background are the cards that I'm creating now that I sell at a local shop, not a few blocks from me. And whenever I show that work, I also have cards available. I currently have a piece that's showing in a group show, and I have cards. The cards have been one of the more popular ways that people have accessed my art. And I also use those on a Patreon page. People can order those. A few years, in 2019, I created a book, a couple books. I had a request from a counselor to create a book for her sort of self-image counseling clients, and that book is still available. Yes, I did NFTs for a while with the roses. I'm not doing that now, but that work helped me create other work, digital work and films. I think mostly starting during COVID, I've done films, and I was commissioned to do a 40-day documentary film. I also won an award, have won awards for my baking films. Some money, yes. And the last slide is of collaged compositive pieces that I've made over the years since starting digital work. Primarily, those are pieces that individuals want to do, that have to do with people that are either passed away or are aging and are expected to die, except for the pet. But I did a number of those, and the piece that you see on the right, some of you will recognize. Cynthia Beth Rubin actually helped me get some high resolution piece, and that I just finished yesterday for one of the people that was for one of the supporters, and she's totally loves it, and so we're going to look at that. And so that brings us up to now, and I think that's the end of my presentation. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan.
Sure.
Thanks for sharing